This is Greg Hessel from ReGeneration Resources, and today I want to give you a quick tip for managing conflict more effectively. In their famous book, Difficult Conversations, Bruce Patton, Sheila Heen, and Douglas Stone outline 3 conversations that happen within any difficult conversation. There's always some conversation, some talk about what happened. How did we get here? Secondly, there's always a feelings conversation. The feelings conversation may be on the table or under the table, but there's always an aspect of a difficult conversation that has to do with what's going on emotionally. And then third, there's what they call the identity conversation. What is this conflict? What is this difficult conversation saying or implying about me and who I am and who I think I am? Today, I just want to give you some quick tips on the what happened conversation. First of all, most of us spend way too much time talking about what happened and not nearly enough time talking about where are we going. Solutions are in the future. So if I would say, what's the biggest tip about the what happened conversation? I would say, don't spend too much time there. Most people spend way too long there, and it actually often gets them more and more stuck. Talking about the future is going to be more solution oriented than talking about the past. Why is that? Well, partially, in the second tip for the what happened conversation is that we have this illusion that if I tell you how I experience something, you're going to agree and say, oh, I get that. But the great majority of the time, there's different perceptions. You experience the difficult interaction very differently than I did. You're going to remember different parts of it. You're going to emphasize different parts of it. And you're going to see and remember things that I don't see or remember. And so the lack of alignment between my experience of what happened and your experience of what happened is often frustrating to people. And that frustration can get people more and more stuck. Rather than being frustrated, it's super helpful if people can learn to be curious about them. I'm just starting a mediation. In it, one of the parties a number of months ago was called the toxic white man. So that's a very charged statement. And most of us, I think, would get defensive. And the only problem with that is getting defensive is completely ineffective. What could have been helpful would have been if he had been able to say, what do you mean by that? What is that toxic white man? What does that mean to you? And I'll try it on. It's hard to be curious when we're being blamed or name called. And it's even hard to be curious when your experience of a reality is just different than mine. But we have to accept different perceptions, and we have to learn how to be curious if we want to become more effective. Third, the subtext of the what happened conversation is usually, here's what happened, and it was your fault. Usually there's a blame component to it. And blame and fault almost always escalate things because one of the primary needs that we all have in a difficult conversation is to save face. Nobody wants to be blamed. And in truth, it's rare that somebody caused 100% of a conflict. Usually both parties contribute something. So tip number 3 about the what happened conversation is move from blame to contribution, from it's your fault or it's my fault to here's how we each contributed. So in summary, minimize the time you spent talking about what happened. When you do talk about it, acknowledge different perspectives, try to be curious about the different perspectives. And then third, move from a blame frame to a frame of mutual contribution. I hope this is useful. Have a great day.